Um, and now I would like to request our next speaker, Mr. G.T. Venkateshwar Rao, to please join us. Mr. Rao is a Commissioner, Electronic Service Delivery, Managing Director, Telangana State Technology Services, and Special Commissioner in Ministry of Information Technology and Communications in the State Government of Telangana. He worked extensively on data mining, data analytics on very large databases, and has pioneered the use of data mining in the Income Tax Department. And he's also the recipient of the highest recognition for civil service in India, a Prime Minister Award for Excellence in Public Administration. So welcome to Mr. Rao, and we look forward to hearing. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to NEGD and other participants. Thanks for this opportunity.
So maybe request you to move your camera a little because we are not able to see you. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So you're able to see the screen?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So now I think, we had one session which explained us the theoretical aspects, and then we had some fun session, and then from UNDP. Now we are going to show what has the kind of work that we have done in Telangana. The one fundamental difference is how do we use these emerging technologies. We have lots of examples both in India and globally where these AI, ML, big data, deep learning, etc. have been used in agriculture, health, law enforcement. But there are very, very few examples globally and much less in India, where these technologies have been used in improving the citizen service delivery. So how to reduce the interaction between government and citizens, how to remove the physical interface, and how do we therefore get transparency and convenience. So the focus of our work, Telangana, other departments are working on the others like law enforcement, health, agriculture. But from IT department, citizen service delivery, the focus has been how do we use these in, for improving citizen services. So our primary focus is on that, the presentation. We have done about 5-6 projects. One of them I'll highlight. The transport department, I think across the country, by all the state governments, most of the services are online. And in Telangana, about 55 services are offered by the transport department. They fall into 4 major categories: driving license services, learning license services, registration services, and permit services. Just a sample I have shown you. Now, I think, for example, how a driving license is renewed, the current process across the country is this. When a citizen has to renew the driving license, he carries his existing driving license and visits a designated department office. There is something called jurisdiction. If you are here, you have to go to this office. And then a form is filled, and then it is submitted to the officials. Then the required fee is paid. The transport department official takes a photograph, and then the new driving license in the form of a card is either issued there or sent by the post. So typically, the citizen has to go and spend half a day at least. So rush at the offices. Then of course, transparency issues, because the entire fundamental principle of bringing in the transparency in bureaucracy is to remove the connect between citizen and bureaucracy. And if you see the entire exercise, what is the value addition by the department? Because they are just accepting whatever the citizen is saying, and then they're taking some fee, taking a form, and taking a photograph. And then of course that it can only be during working hours and then working days, etc. So we were trying to look at and trying to re-engineer this process and ask some questions. First of all, can the same process of driving license be renewed through a mobile app? Therefore, it is anytime, anywhere. That means 24/7 and 365. of course, subject to without absolutely compromising, not compromising on the process and accuracy of the existing system. That means we are not the efficiency or the efficacy of the process has to be identical, but it has to be completely in a very remote manner. No, can we do that? And that's what we tried, and then we came out with a solution and which we have implemented, which we will elaborate. So we have come out with what is called a three-factor authentication system in a remote manner, because the whole idea was that the service should be provided through a mobile phone, a smartphone. So the three factors are, one is called artificial intelligence based liveness detection. That means a person who is taking a service is asked to take a selfie, and then the AI based algorithm checks whether the selfie is taken at that instant from a person, and it checks that it is not from a previous selfie or a photo of a photo. That is the first test. The second test is the demographic information, the name, father name details entered by the citizen, are they matching with what is in the database, subject to all the variations. And third is the facial recognition, the selfie uploaded is matched against the base photograph, and even if the photos are very different, the system should be able to understand. And only if these three factors are done in end condition, that is, it's from the liveness is satisfied, the facial recognition is yes, and the demographic portion is done, then the it takes as and then goes forward to process the application. So there, we are using three types of technologies. First is a big data and ML based demographic comparison technology, which is used by lots of banks in India. Secondly, we are using AI based liveness detection to check whether the photo is from a real person. This is from a company based in India, which they have used in Vietnam for a customer bank account opening. See, this I am talking about 2 years back when we started the exercise. Today, there are, I think, many more who are offering these solutions. And then deep learning based photo comparison. There are lots of MNCs and both Indian companies which are offering. We have taken it from a global MNC, and all the three are API driven. So therefore, it's a plug and play kind of model. Now, based on this, we have launched what is called Friendly Electronic Services in Transport Department in July 2020, through which it used the fundamental concept. What I have said is the real-time digital authentication through a mobile phone. So this is one of the application where we have used in many other places. Some of them I'll briefly touch upon. So at present, 17 services are offered through FEST, 7 driving license services, 4 learning license, 2 registration, and 4 permit services. And the objective of the transport department is that except where there is a physical test, that is in the case of a new driving license or fitness of a vehicle, or where some services have very large forms which are not mobile friendly, barring those few, all other services must be brought onto a mobile platform. So 17 have been brought in, and work is going on to add more and more. Now it's a completely, as I said, re-engineered process compared to the traditional way the transport department was working. It's a green governance, paperless, no forms, nothing. It's a digital empowerment across the state, and then anytime, anywhere. Most important thing is that citizen can do it from his home 24/7 by 365. So this is how, I think this is the actual example of a citizen who has used it and then got the digital license in the mobile phone itself. Now, last 5 days of usage of this number of citizens, it's about 367, 254, 400. You can see 12th and 13th are the holidays. So even then, about 200 and 230 people have been, provided service by the department of those 17 services. So this is our small media coverage, and then we have won many awards. Now, I'll show the actual one application where one applicant has used it through the mobile phone, and we have captured the screen. Can you play that video, please, Vivek? Vikram, can you play the video?
Yes, sir.
So the video, what you are going to see is the actual mobile apps. It's a screenshot. That means anybody who uses the entire flow will be like that. You will see end to end where the citizen starts and is able to get a digital driving license renewed through the smartphone, sitting from his home.
Welcome to FEST demonstration.
So this is our mobile app, T-App Folio.
Of Government of Telangana.
We have about 270 services. Out of this,
You can
this is one of them.
anytime from anywhere.
So applicant is entering his details, name, father name, and transport office where he has taken that previous license, and is entering the driving license number.
And then enters his or her existing drive.
Applicant is entering the details. Very few. Then existing driving license number because he is going to renew. Now applicant is asked to take a selfie, and if they put a photo before the mobile, it recognizes and says that it's not a selfie or it's not from a photo real person. Only if it is from a real person, it goes to the next step. Till such time, it stops here. So this is where the AI based liveness detection is used. Now it's verifying the details with the transport department. Now this is what is a 3-factor: liveness matched, demographics matched, and photo matched. So it has compared with the photo that is available. Now this he is asked to sign in the mobile phone. Then this is the transport department form about there is a standard form which he has to tick. This is the form which they fill in the office currently when they go. The same form is put here. Then the fee, where he has to pay the fee. Multiple modes are there: net banking, UPI, T-Wallet. So here he has used T-Wallet payment. Now it's going to that gateway for making the payment. Payment is done. So the transaction is coming back after payment to the mobile app. Now the certificate is renewed, DL is renewed. You can check the status anytime based on the application number. The system has approved after the 3-factor authentication and other details. So you can download the receipt. This is the receipt of the application made for the driving license, and you can now download the driving license itself, the renewed driving license. So this is the renewed DL digital copy which you have received. Instantly the citizen gets it, and the card is posted, sent through the post. Yeah, okay. Now you have actually seen how the actual, it's a actual person doing the driving license from a mobile app, and you can see he has started, and within 3 minutes everything is completed and the digital renewed digital driving license is received. Now I'll also explain briefly the rest of it. Now, how do you see? There are, as I said, there are 3 technologies: demographic name matching. You can see the the algorithm, ML and big data based algorithm is able to match the names. You can see the left side, the input name, and the right side is the name that is available in the system. So even if there are significant variations in terms of spelling, abbreviation, sequence, all that it is able to handle, but there is a small percentage which it is not able to handle also, which are shown in the below. Extreme variations in the names. Now, the interesting part, because I think, all of you would like to see what kind of photos it is accepting, what kind of photos it is rejecting. Now, this is the system which has approved based on a very high confidence, what we call wherever the similarity score of the 2 photographs. So the left photo is the selfie taken now, and the right photo is the photo of the person available in the system. So you can see the similarity scores in this is 98, 97, 99. And you can see, the angle in which the photos are taken, the blurriness, everything is handled, and then you get it. So this is the set where the matching is done with very high accuracy. Now, the important test is, Indians are very smart. So many people have tried to put some different pictures and try to test the system, which means in such case, the incorrect picture should be rejected. Now I'll show you those. These are the incorrect pictures which system has rightly rejected. So saying that the picture that is sent is different from the photo that is available in the system. So as you can see, in 4 cases, people have tried to test the system. Typically, the test is that where you get anything less than 60%, you don't accept that like that. So this is rejected cases, rightly rejection. So that means 2 tests, correct acceptance and right rejection examples I have shown you. Now I will show you what the system is not able to detect in case of right persons also, which is the error percentage, though it's very small. So these are the persons who are actually same, but system has not rejected. Perhaps you can see the reason is that very large variation between the 2 photographs, the current photograph and the base photograph, or it's too blurred, the base photograph, etc. So now in these cases, this is where the citizens cannot use this service. But if for some reason the base photograph can be improved, then next time the test can they can also use. But this percentage, as I said, is very small. In all, we are able to see about 92 to 93% of the people are able to successfully do all the 3. 7 to 8% is either not passing through either demographic or photo. We have used the same technology in 2-3 other applications, which I will quickly show. We have used the similar concept in what is called pensioners life certificate through selfie. I think as many of you are aware, the government employees have to file what is called annual life certificate for getting pension once in a year. Now, the present system is that they have to either go to a last place where they have retired, or they have to go to the bank where their pensioners bank account is there. Or last, we have a new facility where they can go to any MeSeva center and give biometrics. So in addition to this, Telangana has introduced 2 years back, where through the same mobile app, you can get a life certificate. All you are expected to enter is your pensioner's ID, and then take a selfie and enter your name. Only 3 inputs. So again, it follows the same, whether AI-based liveness detection, is it from a live person, and then it does the demographic matching, and then it does the facial matching. And if all the 3 are done, the digital life certificate is issued by the department, and then there is no need to visit, etc. As of now, about 80,000 pensioners have used, and then it's a very high satisfaction level. This is how you get your, from the Treasury Department digital life certificate from a smartphone. This is perhaps very interesting. You will, some of you like. We have used it for a pilot project in voter identification during elections. Though elections is an extremely process where new technology takes a lot of time. here the Election Commission came forward and tested it. Of course, as a secondary, the primary existing system continued, but they asked us to implement this as a add-on system, wherein it's a 1:n matching. So each voter IDs of a booth are stored, and then as and when the citizen, the voter walks into that booth, the polling official takes a photograph, and then it does a 1:n matching only on photo. Unlike the earlier two, where we had 3-factor authentication, liveness plus demographic plus facial, that is photo. In the here, liveness is there because is inherent because the polling official is taking a photograph, and then demographic we have not used, and then it matches in the entire typically about 1,000 to 1,400 voters is the average size of a polling booth in the country. So this is what was tried actually in our 10 polling booths. So you can see the pictures. So the moment voter is walking in, the polling official is taking a photograph, and system gets a recognition. You can see in the next screen, this is what is the mobile screen you get it. We have used in 2020. So you can see the person, a very interesting thing you can see left side, the person's photograph is taken and the system has ticked that she is a valid voter. But what is important is that she has got two voter cards in the same booth, and system has picked up both of them. You can see that the EPIC IDs are different in both cases. The EPIC IDs are different. And the right one, you can see the system has again identified that you are a valid voter, and you can see the efficacy of the deep learning based photo recognition. You can yourself see the top is the photo of the person at present, and the bottom is the photo of the person in the EPIC card. You can see the variation is really very, very significant, and even manually we may doubt whether it is correct or not, but system has ticked. And also understand and see the accuracy that out of 1,400 photos, EPIC cards available in that booth, it has picked up only that particular record. That means matching is on, it has picked up only one. That means you have the accuracy and this thing. Another two examples, you can see the left side again. Here the voter has a 2 cards. It has picked up both the cards, and you can see the photo IDs are the voter IDs are also taken at very different points of time. I think significant period of time, the 2 are taken, but system has picked up both. The top is her current photograph, and the bottom are the 2 photographs from the voter database. Now the right one is again a very, very excellent example of showing the power of deep learning. You can see the top person. I think the photo, many of the even manually, I think it will be half we will say, but if you look very carefully at the features, etc., it looks the same person, but the system has detected it to be the right person. So now I think a lot of you will have doubt on what is the accuracy levels. Particularly, we have what we call type 1 error and type 2 error. Type 1 means right person could not be recognized. Type 1 is not a great error because if there is a alternate service delivery, they can always use. For example, in the case of driving license, if a person system has not accepted him, he can always follow the present process and get it done. But type 2 is of great importance. That means an incorrect person has been accepted by the system and then he is pushed. So type 2 errors, ideally there should be no type 2, but obviously any technology there are always a small issue, so it has to be as less as possible. So in the pensioners life certificate, when we have launched in 2019, the pension department has said the system will approve, but in the back end we will also do every record manually, just so that we also get confidence. So out of 48,265 of that year, 47,997, 99.4% manually also it is approved. That means whatever the system has said yes, manual verification is also yes. But in 289 cases, 0.6%, manually they have said they are not agreeing. Now the question remains is that whether manually it is correct or the system is correct. In any case, 289 is the error percentage which we should reduce it much. And in any system, when we are trying to improve the efficiency or improve the governance or providing convenience with new, you always have the type 2, but objective should be that as long as it is a manageable or acceptable error, you should go ahead. But what is important is, now I'll show you the 289, a few examples, which means actually 289 is also not correct. Now, these are the 4 cases out of 289. System has given a very high accuracy because it is 90% plus. System has said, yes, they are the correct persons, they are the correct pensioners, but manually they have said, no, they are incorrect. But if you yourself see these 4, in my view, all the 4, actually they are the right persons. That means that even 289, most of them are actually correct, but manually there is an error. So in my view, the final percentage will be less than 0.1 in perhaps, I think, which is very much acceptable. So I think this brings us to the conclusion. So as I said, the whole effort of Telangana has been, how do we use these emerging technologies? I mean, we have also done extensive work in other emerging technologies like drones, blockchains, etc. But today the focus was on using AI, ML, deep learning and big data, primarily from the perspective of providing anytime, anywhere citizen service delivery. That means ultimate objective of the government of Telangana is that every service must be available only through online or a mobile phone, and no citizen should visit any office for any service. Thank you. Thank you once again for NEGD for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have some questions for you,
Sure.
which is there in the chat section. So I'll just read out. So we have Dr. S.K. Dubey. He's saying, sir, that's 90% of the problems would have got solved with this solution. But then how are the middlemen surviving? Do we have any feedback system? What are the customer experiences regarding the remaining of the services where the customer has to be present themselves, like for a driving test? So is there any feedbacks? That's his question, sir.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think he has rightly touched the point. Technology is one aspect, but then, the department should be willing to try, because you are disturbing the system and you are disturbing some persons also. So here, of course, the transport department was very strong and very firm. They wanted to use it. Therefore, of course, that issue of, how do middlemen, those issues are there. But I think slowly, as you have seen in the numbers, we have reached about 500 citizens per day. So as we push, slowly it increases, and the transport department at some point of time wants to, come out and say that no more service in the office, in which case citizens have to either go for online or mobile. So the entire approach of Telangana is that once we are very, very confident of e-governance or m-governance based service delivery, so we should be able to stop that service physically in the office. Then only, citizens will adopt it. Otherwise, there is always this thing. So the aim of Telangana is that every service will be available in 3 modes: mobile governance, that is through a mobile app, and online for those people, who are digitally literate and who have access to digital facilities. And we have a third facility called assisted service delivery through MeSeva project, where we have about 5,000 centers across the state, where a citizen can pay a nominal user charge and avail a digital service. So, but ultimate objective is that, the service should not be available in the office, so that, the entire issue of transparency and disconnected service delivery is achieved. Hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. So in fact, we have a few more questions, but I was thinking that we have a moderated Q&A. So what I would do is I would request Shweta from Intel to also join in. And then, we already have very interesting questions. So maybe we can together talk about it. Shweta, can I request you also to join in?
Sure. And Mr. Rao, thank you for sharing this, because what you shared is a very practical utilization of artificial intelligence for good governance. Pertaining to the question which Saloni just asked, right, what happens to the middlemen? I just want to add, while disruption is happening because of new emerging technologies, there is also an entire new classification of jobs which is arising. Jobs which, in the use case which Mr. Rao has shared, maybe data annotation, image classification, speech transcription. These are the new kind of jobs which are coming up. And possibly at that point in time, one has to look at how do we migrate the workforce or the middlemen in this specific case from one job which they're currently doing to another job, which ensures the continuity of income. So just wanted to share my perspective on that.
Right. I think you're right.
We have one more question. So we have Dr. Charu who is asking that it's a great initiative, but what are the kind of privacy agreements that are entered into by the state government and the citizen, as well as what SLAs with the third-party contractual staff to ensure the security of the data?
Yeah, I think this is always a question in any AI project. And of course, it's a very valid this thing. So what we have done is, as I said, we are using 3 different technologies: AI-based liveness detection, demographic-based, big data-based demographic matching, and deep learning-based image comparison. Out of the 3, 2 we have able to get on-prem in our state data center. So that means the solution is deployed in our servers in our data center. But the third part, it was still an API based, because that particular technology, they said, only thing is there we try to send the least possible amount of information when it is going out, and that too in an anonymized manner. But yes, that's a point need to be considered. So our effort has been try to bring as much as possible in the on-premise model with the solution deployed in our servers in our data centers.
Right, sir. So there's one more question which says, is this app integrated to Vahan Sarthi of MORTH?
Actually, yeah, no, I mean, see, if you strictly speak, in this country, this is perhaps the first time that it has been even attempted or thought or tried and implemented. So I think MORTH has also recently come up with something similar, but based on Aadhaar. They are saying that don't insist on this thing. One limitation, what we felt was, if you, for example, in the pensioner's life certificate also, we already have Aadhaar based service. But in Telangana, we only have about 10,000 locations, because it expects certain specific hardware, and then some approval only designated persons can do. So our approach, and then you have the privacy issues and Aadhaar Act. So we said that the photo is much lesser aspect in terms of privacy. And then because it's a smartphone, for example, unlike 10,000 places where you can do Aadhaar authentication, in Telangana we have 50 lakh smartphones. So the reach, the flexibility, the ease with which you can do a transaction through a smartphone is, I think, far superior and higher, and accessibility is much higher. But I think Transport Department must be evaluating the other option also.
Okay, and so there are a lot of comments saying that this is a wonderful job, and we would like to see more and hear more about it. And there are a couple of examples which people have also shared in the chat section, so we'll share that as well with you.
Sure.
Shweta?
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Rao, once again. And I have to admit that the questions were also extremely interesting. Not only a lot of kudos and acknowledgement to the fact that what Telangana is doing to take artificial intelligence ahead, but this also kind of goes back to a concept which we've been working with on building digital readiness, because that ensures that not only do we learn new skills to be able to apply artificial intelligence or any other emerging technology, but we also have to get to trust new technologies. The question of, how is the data secure? What is the kind of SLA we have with the third party who's managing the data for the country or for the state in this case, for example. So the idea behind these entire sessions, and I'm just going back to why we spoke about digital dialogues and why Intel, UNDP, and NEGD have come forward to create this set of 100 digital dialogues, is to talk about not only what we learn about emerging technologies, so we get to understand and gather new skills in that space, but how do we use them? And that is where practical examples from on the field for what Mr. Rao has shared would really help. And then we can think about how do we scale this to other states as well, because that is a few of the questions which have come up. But importantly enough, how do we get to trust these new emerging technologies? So any change would begin with public sector leaders or government leaders, as all of you, those who are presenting and those who are participating in these workshops. Digital transformation or accelerating digitization requires capacity building and policy-driven solutions. And as I think what Mr. Rao said is, in this case, the Transport Department was absolutely willing to take a leap forward and move into the space of saying that, yes, we do want to apply AI to ensure better better delivery of citizen services. So with more and more of humanity coming online and kind of trying to understand that, what is the digital foundation which we are creating, this is what together as a country, which we need to uniquely build and deliver on. I will just leave you with a fun fact, because we've been focusing on data through and through from the start of the conversation till today for this session is, what is the kind of data or bytes of data do you think which the world generates every single day, right? Any thoughts, any quick comments on the chat section? Okay, so since there are no quick comments, it's almost 2.5 quintillion bytes, which is generated every single day. And this means that all of us have to think of how can we best use this data to create actionable insights and use emerging technologies like artificial intelligence for better governance. So with this, Saloni, back to you.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you so much, sir. And it was an interesting conversation today. And we'll sum up all the interesting comments that have come through in the chat section. Thank you so much for joining in. And we'll probably request you once again for some other examples that you were talking about. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving